The cabin lights hover at a soft glow. Passengers settle into seats. Muted conversations ripple through the aisles. A steady hum of engines thrums beneath the PA system's quiet hiss. A well-dressed man in a sharp suit, the kind you spot in first class but chose to wander back, leans forward in his aisle seat. He taps his glass impatiently against the fold-down tray. Across from him, a black flight attendant moves with calm efficiency, a gentle smile framed by the crisp uniform. "Sir, may I get you another beverage?" she asks, voice warm but measured. He snaps his fingers, rising pitch in his tone. "Yeah, refill my drink now and make it quick." She nods, lifts her tray cart smoothly, then pauses behind his seat. "Of course, we're serving row by row. I'll be right with you." His eyes narrow. "Don't lecture me, girl. Just do your job." A hush falls. Nearby, other passengers stiffen. The attendant's expression doesn't waver. She closes. Her eyes for a heartbeat, straightens her shoulders, then opens them again. Steady, unwavering. "Certainly," she replies softly. "Here's your refill." She pours the drink carefully, places it on his tray and steps back. He snatches the glass, splashes a drop on the table. "Next time, know who you're talking to." She steps forward, places a hand gently on his tray table. "I know exactly who I am." Her voice is low, confident, no hint of anger, but a quiet power in every syllable. He leans back, brow furrowed. "Oh? Enlighten me." She holds his gaze. "I'm Captain Aisha Thompson, Chief Pilot for Skyward Airlines." Hair-charged silence follows, like the moment before a storm breaks. The suit-clad man blinks, throat working as the truth sinks in. Other passengers exchange glances, some reaching for phones, faces lighting up with surprise and admiration. Captain Thompson steps back, retrieves her service cart and continues down the aisle. The hum of the engines feels softer now, filled with possibility. As she moves on, the man stares at the back of her uniform, the words "Chief Pilot" crisp above her name tag. Behind him, a discreet click of a camera echoes. A single passenger murmurs, "That's amazing." And just like that, the flight deck door stands as the ultimate reveal. The woman he disrespected holds the skies and every passenger firmly in her command. Captain Aisha Thompson steps onto the jet bridge with the assured poise of someone walking a familiar runway. Her crisp uniform jacket bears 4 polished gold stripes on each shoulder, a quiet declaration of authority. She pauses just outside, the cabin door smoothing the lapel of her blazer and lifting her chin. Inside, the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingles with the faint whir of overhead bins being secured. Crew members file past her, nodding respectfully. "Morning, Captain," murmurs the first officer, pushing up his cap. Aisha returns the greeting with a warm smile, her voice steady. "Good morning, Mark. Everything ready for departure?" Mark glances at his tablet. "All systems green, Captain." She moves down the line, exchanging quick, precise nods with each member of the cockpit team. "Julie, how's our fuel load looking?" the chief flight engineer offers. 24. £1,000 with reserve, Julie replies, eyes bright with admiration. Aisha's lips curve into a confident half-smile. No one sees the years behind this moment, she thinks. The thousands of flight hours, the weathered cockpits, the long nights, logging hours under fluorescent hangar lights. She steps back, letting the team finalize their checks. Passengers begin. Boarding now, suitcases rolling and shoes clicking. To them, she's just another flight attendant in a smart uniform, someone who offers pillows, hands out water bottles and smiles. But here, amidst the whir of electronics and the low roar of APU, she is Captain Thompson, the first black female chief pilot in Skyward Airlines' 80-year history. "They don't know I volunteered to work cabin service today," she muses internally. "Wanted to see the passenger side of my own command, and to remind everyone that respect isn't reserved for those they recognize." As she straightens a folded trolley by the rear galley, she glances again at her name tag. A.M. Thompson. Beneath her name, in elegant block letters, is her title, Chief Pilot. Behind those words are decades of determination, late-night study sessions for her commercial pilot license, the stinging rebuke of snide comments from instructors who doubted she belonged in the cockpit, Her triumphant solo cross-country flight at 19. A soft chime signals the cabin door open. Passengers begin filing in. A young mother with a baby on her hip looks up and smiles at Aisha. The captain offers a gentle nod and steps back, handing off the trolley to a junior attendant. Every movement is deliberate, every greeting genuine. She watches travelers settle in, scanning the aisle from her perch near the cockpit threshold. In that moment, she stands between two worlds, the visible stewardess with the bright smile and the unseen pilot who will soon command this aircraft across thousands of miles of sky. And for everyone on board, the gap between appearance and reality is yet to be revealed. From small-town dream to cockpit long, before the gleaming fuselage of a jetliner captured her imagination, Aisha Thompson was a curious 8-year-old in Birmingham, Alabama, perched on a folding chair in her grandfather's backyard. She had fashioned a cockpit out of discarded cardboard boxes, blue construction paper gauges taped to the front panel, and a mop-handle yoke in hand. Every afternoon she would close her eyes and imagine the roar of twin engines beneath her, the world shrinking to a patchwork of fields and highways. Her parents, both school teachers, watched with amused pride. On weekends, they drove her past the small municipal airport on the city's outskirts. Aisha pressed her nose to the chain-link fence as single-engine planes lumbered overhead, their propellers churning the humid summer air. When her classmates begged for ice cream, Aisha begged for one more lap around the runway parking apron, clutching her sketchbook full of airplane drawings and handwritten log entries like a real pilot's flight plan. At 16, she finally convinced her parents to enroll her in the Civil Air Patrol's cadet program. Every Saturday, she joined a ragtag group of teenagers in crisp uniforms, learning radio procedures and emergency drills. Governor's distinguished scholar or not, she was the only black girl in the hangar, an outsider in a world that still felt off limits. Her first lesson with flight instructor Mr. Hargrove was a lesson in humility. He eyed her skeptically as she climbed into the Cessna 172's cockpit. "You sure about this, Miss Thompson?" he asked, adjusting his headset. When she did everything by the book, he nodded, just once, before guiding her up to 3,000 feet, over rolling pastures. The horizon curved beneath her wings, and for a moment, she forgot every doubt she'd ever felt. Weeks turned into months. Aisha poured every spare dollar from her babysitting jobs into flying hours, sometimes shaving expenses by sweeping hangar floors in exchange for discounted lessons. Some instructors dismissed her with pointed questions. "Do you really think you belong up here?" Each time she answered with professionalism and patience. When racial slurs replaced polite inquiries, she reported the behavior but refused to let it break her spirit. On the day of her first solo flight, Aisha's palms sweat against the yoke as the Cessna's engine thrummed beneath her. Mr. Hargrove offered a curt nod, stepped out and closed the door. She taxied onto runway 27, heart pounding louder than the propeller. In a swift motion, she advanced the throttle. The plane surged forward, lifted off and climbed steadily. Below her, the airport shrank into a mosaic of hangars and parked cars. She completed 3 circuits, each turn smoother than the last, and landed with the grace of a seasoned pilot. That flight cemented something deep inside her. She earned her private pilot certificate before graduation, balancing solo cross-country trips with advanced placement exams. At 18, she enrolled at the Southeastern Aviation University on a partial scholarship, one of only 2 women in her cohort, and the only black student. Nights found her poring over aerodynamics textbooks in dorm rooms lit by the glow of streetlights. Days began before dawn, pre-flighting Piper Cherokees in dewy grass. Behind every flight plan filed and every night spent studying in an empty hangar, Aisha carried the weight of those who said she didn't belong. But with each logged hour and every certificate pinned to her growing resume, she proved them wrong. Senior year brought the captain's stripes on her shoulders, and with top honors in her class, she accepted a job offer from Skyward Airlines. Yet she never forgot the stares on the runway or the sting of condescension, fuel for a career defined not by fitting in, but by rising above. Now, as chief pilot, she commands the same skies she once only dreamed of from a cardboard cockpit. A testament to perseverance, passion, and the unshakable belief that a girl from Birmingham could soar higher than anyone ever imagined. Aisha's first day as a Skyward Airlines second officer felt like stepping onto a different planet. Gone were the propeller-driven trainers of her university days. Before her now stood gleaming regional jets lined up like silver arrows. In a crisp uniform bearing 2 gold stripes, she executed her pre-flight checks with the same meticulous precision she'd honed in Cessnas. Over the next 5 years, Aisha logged thousands of hours on commuter routes crisscrossing the southeast. Early mornings blurred into late nights, brief layovers in small airports, then back behind the yoke for red-eye hops. Each flight brought new challenges, icing warnings over the Appalachians, unexpected crosswinds at coastal fields, passengers frantic over missed connections. Through it all, she remained calm, methodical and endlessly curious. Between legs, she dug into every training bulletin Skyward offered, simulator sessions replicating engine failures at 35,000 feet, leadership workshops on crew resource management, cross-departmental rotations in dispatch, maintenance, and even customer service. Few pilots volunteered for cabin duty, but Aisha saw it as vital, serving beverages, greeting families, diffusing passenger anxieties. She called it ground-level intelligence. Colleagues joked that no one knew the fleet better than the flight attendant turned safety officer. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. When a captain retirement opened a first officer slot on the 737 fleet, Aisha was among the top candidates. At the annual promotion board, members pored over her flight record, a spotless safety log, glowing peer reviews, and a reputation for stepping in whenever a crew needed help. Yet one board member, an aging pilot with nearly 4 decades at Skyward, asked pointedly, "Are you sure she can handle the pressure on our busiest routes?" Heads turned, but before anyone could answer, the board chair cleared her throat. Anne said, "Review her simulator scores, they speak volumes." Within a week, Aisha had her 3rd gold stripe. Over the next 3 years, she served as first officer on the fleet's flagship transcontinental runs. She logged training as an instructor, teaching cadets on simulators the very scenarios that once tested her resolve. Then came the unexpected email. Skyward was accepting applications for chief pilot, a position that would make her responsible for all flight operations, pilot training standards, and safety protocols across the entire airline. In the submissions packet, Aisha included a quiet note. She wished to maintain operational anonymity by occasionally flying cabin service. Her rationale was simple. Understanding passenger concerns firsthand would inform policy decisions far better than any boardroom discussion. When the CEO entered the promotion meeting, he paused at the thick stack of applications and raised an eyebrow. "Who's A.M. Thompson? I haven't seen her name among the senior leadership." The director of flight operations smiled wryly. "She's been our best-kept secret." As the board reviewed her record, initial resistance melted into unanimous support. Captain Thompson's technical expertise, leadership skills, and unconventional insight made her the ideal candidate. Yet no press release announced her ascent. She made her first public appearance as chief pilot, not in a keynote speech, but in a uniform identical to every flight attendant's, complete with service trolley. Only colleagues in the cockpit recognized the subtle difference: 4 polished stripes, the title embroidered on her name tag. By choosing this disguise, Aisha ensured that every passenger interaction, from a comforting word to careful safety demonstration, would be genuine and unfiltered. In that moment, she carried not only the plane but the bridge between 2 worlds, the cockpit's high-stakes realm and the cabin's human connection, united by a single truth: leadership is not about being seen but about seeing. Flight day, dual roles in disguise. The break room is quiet at 5 a.m. Captain Aisha Thompson steps in wearing the standard Navy blazer of a flight attendant, her chief pilot uniform stowed away. She greets the 2 pilots at the briefing table with a nod and a quiet "morning." Their eyes meet, and each offers an almost imperceptible smile of respect, an unspoken acknowledgement of who she really is. "Flight 234 to Los Angeles," the captain begins, reviewing the weather package. "We'll route over Denver, then climb to FL 350. Winds aloft look favorable." Aisha leans in to review the fuel calculations, her flight deck instincts kicking in as she confirms the numbers. Once done, she steps back, folding her arms politely. Service carts loaded, cabin secure. The first officer glances at her. "Thanks, Jen," he says, using her disguised cabin name. The rest of the crew silently files out, leaving only the three of them to finalize cockpit checks. As the door closes, Aisha's shoulders relax for a heartbeat and then tighten again. She smooths the folds of her blazer, momentarily torn between two roles. As chief pilot, she has the authority to shape every safety protocol and crew resource standard in the company. Yet today, she chose to fly frontline service so she could witness firsthand how passengers are treated and how her own policies work in practice. A tug of pride pulls at her chest. "I earned this position," she thinks, recalling the boardroom vote that made her the airline's first black female chief pilot. But if I can't ensure respect and dignity for every passenger, what good are my stripes? The intercom chime signals boarding. Crew members stream into the cabin. Aisha steps forward, offering bright smiles and warm greetings. "Welcome aboard, folks," she says, guiding passengers past the galley. She recalls every rule she instituted. Clear mask procedures, thoughtful meal distribution, extra assistance for anxious flyers. Yet as she walks the aisle, she senses the familiar undercurrent of judgment. The quick double-take at her uniform, the muted whispers when she directs someone to their seat. She offers a gentle nod, suppressing the urge to introduce herself as chief pilot and watch jaws drop. Instead, she places a reassuring hand on an elderly woman's arm. "Let me help you with that overhead bag," she says softly. From the cockpit, the captain's voice crackles over the PA. "This is your captain speaking. We'll be wheels. Up in 10 minutes and the skies ahead look smooth. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight." Aisha's heart swells. She is both the voice passengers trust and the unseen leader who ensures that trust is well placed. Moments later, she's back in the aisle, distributing life vest demonstrations with practiced calm. Each passenger meets her eyes and, unaware of her true rank, sees only the polite attendant. But for Aisha, every nod of gratitude, every relaxed posture, confirms why she chose this disguise: to close the gap between policy and practice, authority and empathy, cockpit and cabin. And as the final passenger settles in, she glances toward the flight deck, meeting her own reflection in the glass door, a chief pilot hidden in plain sight, committed to serving her crew and her customers equally. As the seatbelt signs flick off, a hush settles over the cabin. Passengers unbuckle and stretch, chatter rising in soft waves. Aisha moves down the aisle, collecting empty cups and answering polite questions. Her smile never falters. Professional. Warmth in every gesture. Then a man in row 12 clears his throat. He's middle-aged, impeccably dressed in business casual, briefcase at his feet. "Excuse me," he says, voice just loud enough to carry. "Could I speak with the real pilot, please?" Aisha pauses, hand on the cart. Her lips curve into a courteous nod. "The pilot is in the cockpit, sir. Is there something I can help you with?" He peers down his nose, tapping the armrest. No. I'd prefer to talk to someone with actual flight experience." His tone is light, but the undertone is unmistakable. She doesn't qualify. A soft click echoes as another attendant raises an eyebrow. Aisha senses the flight attendant beside her stiffen. A junior crew member shifts his weight, uncomfortable. She straightens, voice calm. "I'm a fully qualified pilot, sir, but the captain prefers that all requests go through cabin service. First, if there's an in-flight concern, I'm here to assist." The man's brow furrows. "I'm not convinced. I just want to speak to the person who's actually flying this plane." A murmur ripples through the nearby rows, curious glances, raised eyebrows. Aisha leans slightly forward, lowering her voice. "The captain and first officer have full control of the flight deck. If you have specific questions about altitude, speed, or route, I'm happy to pass them along." He folds his arms. "Fine," he huffs, "but next time, send someone who knows what they're talking about." Aisha tucks a stray lock of hair behind her ear, expression unchanged. "I assure you, sir, I do. In the meantime, may I bring you anything else?" He waves her off and turns away, face flush. Aisha retreats to her cart, collecting trays with measured calm. Behind her, the junior attendant mouths, "Are you okay?" She offers a small, reassuring nod. Back at the galley, she sets down her cart and closes her eyes for a heartbeat. The hum of conversation floods back in. That felt too familiar, she thinks, chest tightening. The doubt, the dismissal, just another. Till she takes a steadying breath and picks up her service trolley once more. As she moves on, her mind races with the boardroom conversations she once led, the initiative she championed for respectful passenger interactions. Respect is not a courtesy, she reminds herself, it's a right. Her calm response offers a silent lesson. Authority isn't claimed through arrogance, but proven with composure. And though the first microaggression stings, it only reinforces her resolve to serve with empathy, to lead with dignity, and to remind everyone on board that true expertise isn't defined by appearances. About midway through the flight, Aisha glides down the aisle with a fresh tray of sandwiches. The cabin is calm, passengers quietly reading, napping, or watching screens. She moves row by row, offering choices with that practiced warmth. Then, she hears it, a harsh rising voice echoing off the overhead bins. The same suited man from row 12 has abandoned his seat and stands in the aisle, arms akimbo, face flushed. Conversations hush as fellow travelers turn to see what's unfolding. "Listen here," he snaps, voice pitched high enough for the cabin to lean in. "You keep calling yourself a pilot? Prove it. Show me you know how to fly this thing." Aisha stops, gently sets her tray cart against the window. Her uniform remains immaculate. Navy skirt, crisp blouse, gold wing pin over her heart. She meets his glare with composure. "Sir, I've already explained that the flight deck is closed to passengers." He storms closer, nearly invading her. "Personal space. Don't dodge me, I paid for a seat. I want to talk to someone who can actually operate this jet. You may look nice, but I know you're just serving snacks." A whisper ripples through the aisle. A young couple exchange worried glances. A grandmother tightens her grip on her granddaughter's hand. Even the flight attendants pause mid-service. Aisha inhales slowly, steadying her pulse. "Sir, I am more than capable." She speaks evenly, voice firm yet controlled. "If you have safety concerns, I can relay them to the cockpit immediately." He snorts, folding his arms. "Relaying won't cut it. I want proof." His tone becomes mocking. "Tell me a technical detail, altitude, ground speed, something." Aisha's jaw sets. She turns toward the cockpit door, raises her voice so all can hear. "Flight 234 is cruising at 35,000 feet, ground speed 500 miles per hour, outside temperature -50 degrees Celsius." Passengers' eyes widen. A few murmur to each other. She knows her stuff. The man's face pales as he processes her words. He opens his mouth to retort but falters. She doesn't let him off the hook. With calm authority, she continues. "Our flight plan routed us over Denver to avoid afternoon thunderstorms. We'll descend through clear skies for a smooth approach into Los Angeles." A hush falls. A teenager in the row behind the man reaches for her phone. Aisha glances at him, offering a slight nod. He begins recording. The disgruntled passenger stumbles back, suddenly aware of every pair of eyes on him. His bravado crumbles. That's just luck," he stammers. "Anyone could read that off a screen." Aisha steps closer, lowering. Her tone so only he can hear. "Sir, I memorized those details during pre-flight as part of our safety checks. I update the cockpit crew on any weather deviations. And yes, I've flown this aircraft myself." He opens and closes his mouth like a fish out of water. A hush of admiration spreads. Hands clap softly, a few passengers whistle. The man's cheeks burn. He glances toward the cockpit door as if expecting the real pilot to appear, but the door remains closed. Realizing he's exposed, he mutters, I didn't mean," but his words trail off. Aisha straightens, inviting him with a pointed look to retract his insult. When he remains frozen, she turns away, addressing the cabin with a warm smile. "Thank you for your patience, everyone. May I offer you a complimentary snack for the inconvenience?" Applause ripples down the aisle. The man, head bowed, shuffles back to his seat as Aisha continues service, her uniform unruffled, her dignity intact. Around her, passengers exchange proud, relieved glances, their phones still recording this moment of quiet triumph. In that charged silence, the cabin understands. Authority isn't worn, it's embodied. And for this flight, the true pilot is right among them, serving safety and respect in equal measure. A soft glow from the overhead reading lights highlights the calm determination in Aisha's eyes. The low hum of the engines pulses beneath her composed exterior, but she can almost hear her own heartbeat in the quiet aftermath of the outburst. She turns slowly, motioning with her free hand to the other flight attendant. The junior crew member instinctively steps back, and Aisha gives a curt nod, a gentle but firm command. "Keep the aisle clear, please." The cart rattles softly as she positions it against the bulkhead. She breathes in, steady, unhurried, and lets the silence settle. Every passenger's gaze is on her now, anticipation unspoken on expectant faces. Then she leans forward, voice calm and clear over the cabin PA. "Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? My name is Aisha Thompson." A few eyebrows lift, phones click to life. She continues without haste. "I serve as chief pilot for Skywood Airlines, and I'm here today both to ensure your safety and to assist with any needs you might have." A hush falls. The man in row 12 shrinks into his seat, humbled. Others exchange looks of astonishment and pride. Aisha holds their attention with quiet confidence. "I understand that trust is earned, not assumed," she says, scanning the cabin with a steady gaze. "When you see me in uniform, I want you to know that I'm not only here to serve your comfort, but also to protect your lives. My decisions, from flight paths to cabin procedures, are guided by this responsibility." She pauses, letting the weight of her words resonate. "If there's anything you need during this flight, any questions, concerns, or assistance, please don't hesitate to let me or any member of our cabin crew know. We're committed to ensuring you feel respected, safe, and well cared for." Ripple of applause begins near the front, spreading like warm light. A few passengers wipe misted eyes. Others snap photos of her name tag and the polished 4 stripes. The earlier tension dissolves into an outpouring of support. Aisha straightens, a small, gracious smile playing at her lips. She steps back to the service cart and resumes her service, pouring water and offering snacks as if nothing extraordinary has happened. Yet the cabin atmosphere has shifted irrevocably. Respect once withheld now fills every corner. In that quiet, powerful moment, her leadership shines not through raised voices or grand gestures, but through calm resolve, firm authority, and unwavering composure, proof that true command need never raise its volume to be heard. Aisha steps back from the trolley, the soft clink of service items settling into the galley. She presses the call button, and the cabin lights dim just a notch, drawing every eye forward. With a steady inhale, she reaches for the PA microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," her voice comes through crisp and calm, "this is Aisha Thompson speaking." A hush sweeps the cabin. Passengers sit upright, eyes wide. Phones hover, poised to record. She allows a brief pause, long enough for anticipation to build, then continues. "Until today, you've known me as one of your cabin crew, but I'd like to share something important. I serve Skyward Airlines as your chief pilot." Murmurs ripple through the rows. A woman in 14C gasps quietly. A business traveler leans forward, mouth agape. The suited man from row 12 grips his armrests, jaw clenched. Seconds stretch. Then the flight deck door swings. Open. The captain steps into view, tall, composed, uniform immaculate. His glance toward Aisha is one of unmistakable pride. He nods once, crisply, then turns to face the passengers himself. "With your permission," the captain's voice resonates, "I'd like to acknowledge Captain Thompson, whose leadership ensures every flight you take with us is safe, efficient, and respectful." Applause erupts, first polite claps, then swelling into full-throated cheers. Some passengers stand, waving their hands. A few whistle. The elderly grandmother in 22A reaches over to hug her granddaughter, beaming. The man in row 12 sits frozen, heat flooding his face as realization dawns. He glances between Aisha's name tag, A.M. Thompson, chief pilot, and her uniform, stripes gleaming under the cabin lights. Aisha allows herself a small, gracious smile. She steps forward, extending a hand toward the captain. He takes it warmly, then turns back to address the cabin. We welcome your questions, but more importantly, we thank Captain Thompson for demonstrating the values Skyward holds dear: integrity, expertise, and compassion. A soft thank you drifts from Aisha's lips as she lowers the microphone. She moves from her disguised station toward the aisle, allowing the captain to step full view. As he walks past passengers, many reach out for handshakes or photos, pointing to Aisha with proud grins. The man in row 12, still seated, bows his head. He places a hand over his heart, lips moving in a silent apology. Aisha catches his eye and offers a brief nod, acknowledgement without disdain. Then she turns, back to the cabin. From her position at the front, glimpses of astonished, smiling faces fill her view. A young woman snaps a photo of Aisha and the captain standing side by side, ready for descent. Another passenger taps out a message: "Best flight ever." In that charged moment, the revelation has done more than expose a hidden truth. It has shattered assumptions, earned respect, and united a cabin full of strangers in admiration. And as the cabin fills with renewed warmth and light applause echoes, Aisha Thompson stands as living proof that leadership transcends uniforms, and true authority reveals itself not in who you appear to be, but in what you are prepared to embody. The cabin's energy hums with residual excitement as Aisha returns to her service cart, eyes calm but attentive. The suited man remains seated, head bowed, shoulders slumped. He avoids eye contact, fingers drumming nervously on the armrest. When the aisle clears, he stands unsteadily and calls softly, "Excuse me." His voice trembles. Passengers glance expectantly, sensing the moment's gravity. Aisha steps forward, setting down a water pitcher. She offers him her full attention, an open posture, no hint of condescension. "Yes, sir?" He swallows hard, voice low. I owe you an apology. I was out of line." He pauses, searching her face. "I didn't know. I just assumed." Aisha nods once, keeping her tone even. "Thank you for saying that." He inhales, gathering courage. "I disrespected you in front of everyone. I was rude and I'm—" "Please," she interrupts gently, "you're not alone in making assumptions." She gestures toward the cabin. "Our biases take shape in moments like these." Passengers hold their breath. Aisha continues, "What matters is what we do next. Respect isn't a courtesy. It's the foundation of every safe flight, every team we build, and every journey we share." The man's shoulders relax for the first time. He clears his throat. "I understand. I'm truly sorry." A soft murmur of approval swells around them, encouraging nods, sympathetic smiles. A grandmother pats his arm reassuringly. A teenage boy in the next row thumbs up. Aisha offers a small, genuine smile. "Thank you. I appreciate your apology." She places a reassuring hand on his tray table. "If there's anything I can do to make the rest of your flight more comfortable, please let me know." He nods, eyes misting. "Just thank you for handling it so professionally. I've learned something today." "Good," she replies quietly. "That's what I hoped." She steps back and resumes her service, pouring water and offering snacks with steady grace. The man settles into his seat, more mindful now of the world around him. As Aisha moves on, she catches fragments of conversations. She handled it so well. "I'm glad he apologized. That was powerful." Phones put away, but the memory of her words lingers in every thoughtful glance and respectful nod. In that exchange, justice isn't about punishment, it's about transformation. Aisha's calm acceptance and firm reminder of respect turn a moment of shame into an opportunity for growth. And for everyone on board, the lesson is clear. Compassion and accountability can coexist, guiding us all towards safer, kinder skies. A ripple of applause breaks out as Aisha steps back from the galley. Hands clap softly at first, then grow louder, an impromptu ovation born from respect rather than obligation. Passengers exchange proud glances, as if sharing ownership of her moment. In 14A, a young professional raises her phone discreetly, capturing Aisha's composed smile. A father in 16C lifts his daughter onto his lap, whispering, "Did you see that? That's real courage." The little girl beams, eyes wide, with admiration. Across the aisle, an elderly couple squeezes each other's hands. The wife murmurs, "We should have stood up sooner," and her husband nods, regret softening into resolve. A nearby student offers his seat to a mother struggling with luggage, echoing the solidarity he just witnessed. Flight attendants share. Quick celebratory hugs in the galley, their eyes shining. The junior crew member from earlier turns to Aisha, voice hushed but exuberant. "That was incredible. Thank you for showing us how to lead." Aisha merely nods and returns his smile before stepping back into service. As the cabin conversation hums with newfound warmth, the teenager who filmed the reveal leans over to his neighbor. "I'm uploading this right now," he says, fingers flying over the screen. Within minutes, the clip, 10 seconds of Aisha's introduction, begins to circulate on social media. The hashtag #FlyWithAisha pops up on the teen's phone, accompanied by comments like "Best flight ever" and "Why isn't every airline run like this?" A flight attendant quietly whispers to Aisha, "It's trending already." Aisha glances up, eyes meeting hers with gentle surprise, and offers a modest shrug. "Just doing my job." Nearby, the suited man from row 12 lifts his head, pauses his video stream, and closes his phone with a thoughtful expression. His earlier shame seems replaced by humility and perhaps a desire to share this story himself. Throughout the cabin, acts of kindness multiply. An impromptu snack-sharing circle forms in row 9 when an elderly gentleman notices a passenger without a meal. 2 seats over, a business traveler offers his noise-cancelling headphones to a co-passenger whose earbuds have tangled. All of it unfolds in quiet solidarity, driven by the example set just moments before. By the time the seatbelt sign illuminates for descent, the atmosphere has transformed completely. Strangers sit side by side, connected by a shared moment of empowerment. Phones stow away, but the energy lingers in warm smiles, nods of mutual respect, and the soft murmur of stories being retold in hushed excitement. As the aircraft begins its descent, it carries more than passengers. It carries a community strengthened by collective recognition, and at its heart is Captain Aisha Thompson, whose single act of courage sparked a wave of solidarity that will outlast this flight. The engine's roar softens into a gentle rumble as the wheels kiss the runway. A collective sigh ripples through the cabin, followed by spontaneous applause, passengers showing gratitude not just for a safe landing, but for the journey they've shared. Aisha shields her eyes against the glow of the cabin lights as the seatbelt sign clicks off. She steps forward, smiling warmly. "Welcome to Los Angeles," she announces, as any flight attendant would, but this time every word carries the weight of her leadership. Passengers rise, stretching and gathering belongings. A mother pushes a stroller toward the exit. Aisha kneels to help lift the folded frame, guiding the little girl to her mother's arms. An elderly gentleman with a walker receives her steadying hand as he descends the aisle. At the doorway to the jet bridge, travelers form a slow-moving stream. A bouquet of small wildflowers appears in a young couple's hands. They press it into Aisha's palm. "Thank you," the woman says, eyes glistening. "You made this feel more than just a flight." Aisha's lips curve into a gentle smile. As she accepts the blooms, "It was my pleasure," she replies, her voice soft. She shakes hands with 2 business travelers, then shares a quick hug with the grandmother from 22A, who wipes a tear of joy from her cheek. Down the jet bridge, news crew members, holding cameras and microphones, stand ready. A hush falls as Aisha steps onto the terminal floor. The lead reporter approaches, microphone extended. "Captain Thompson," she asks brightly, "how do you stay so composed under pressure?" Aisha tilts her head, glances at the small bouquet in her hand, then at the cluster of smiling passengers around her. She breathes in, thinking of the thousands of hours in the cockpit and the countless lessons learned in that makeshift cardboard cockpit of her childhood. "I fly with my heart," she says simply, eyes shining. "Every day I'm reminded that empathy and respect guide us as much as training and procedures. Composure comes naturally when you care deeply about the people you serve." Behind the cameras, a murmur of approval passes through the gathered travelers. The grandmother leans in and places a hand on Aisha's arm. "Never stop flying that way," she whispers. Reporters scribble notes, nodding. One asks about the viral video. "What would you say to viewers around the world who've seen you in the cabin today?" Aisha looks at the small screen on a nearby phone showing the hashtag #FlyWithAisha trending. She bows her head respectfully. "I'd say remember the power of kindness. Acknowledge people's worth before you judge their role, and always treat one another with dignity." With that, she steps aside, allowing fellow crew members to guide passengers toward baggage claim. Travelers wave back, some calling, "Thank you, Captain," and "Safe travels." As she walks down the concourse, Aisha glances at the terminal. Screens overhead, flight schedules, gate changes, routine details of non-stop air travel. But today those screens can't capture what she's accomplished. A small cabin transformed by respect, a community united in solidarity, and one pilot's unwavering belief that leadership is born of the heart. Sunlight streams through the glass walls of the terminal as she disappears into the hustle of arrivals, flowers in hand and purpose renewed, ready to chart new courses, both in the sky and in the hearts of those who fly with her. The conference hall buzzes with excitement as dozens of young girls gather around a gleaming flight simulator. Banners overhead read "Dream Big Aviation Career Day," the logo of Skyward Airlines shining beside community sponsors. At the front, Captain Aisha Thompson stands beside the full-size cockpit mock-up, her chief pilot uniform crisp and welcoming. A shy hand raises in the back row. A 12-year-old girl with braided hair and bright, curious eyes speaks up. "Captain Thompson," she says, voice soft but clear, "how did you know you could really fly?" Aisha smiles and steps forward, resting one hand on the simulator's console. "I didn't just know," she begins. "I dreamed so vividly that every time I closed my eyes I could feel the controls in my hands." She gestures to the cockpit. But dreams need more than imagination. They need courage, preparation, and people who believe in you. The girl's eyes shine. "Like you?" Aisha kneels to meet her at eye level, folding her hands on her knees. "Exactly like that." She points to the simulator's throttle. "When I was your age, I built a pretend cockpit out of cardboard in my backyard. I practiced every day, learned from every mistake, and kept going, even when others said I didn't belong." Gasps of understanding ripple through the group. A cluster of girls exchange determined looks. One whispers to her friend, "I'm doing this." Aisha stands and invites them forward. "Who wants to try?" Hands shoot up. She guides the first girl to the pilot's seat and shows her how to adjust the rudder pedals. "Feel the connection?" Aisha encourages gently. Piloting isn't just about pushing buttons. It's listening to every sound and trusting your instincts. As the next girl takes her turn, another raises her hand. "What if people doubt me?" she asks. Aisha steps beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then you prove them wrong," she says quietly. "Every challenge you overcome, every hour you log, builds your confidence. And one day, someone will see you and realize you. We're always meant to be here." A murmur of agreement grows louder. The air is thick with possibility. Some girls close their eyes as they manipulate the yoke, imagining engines roaring to life. Others whisper encouragement, forming instant communities bound by shared aspiration. At the end of the session, Aisha gathers the group around her. "Flying taught me that the sky has room for everyone's dreams," she tells them. "Your voice matters, your skills matter, and you belong in the cockpit just as much as anyone. Keep reaching for the controls, for the clouds, and for the life you want to lead." A hush falls as the girls absorb her words. Then, one by one, they place their hands on the simulator's door as if stepping into the future together. Aisha watches them, pride shining in her eyes, knowing that each of these young aviators carries a small piece of her journey forward. As she steps away, the hall echoes with excited chatter and laughter. Somewhere amid those voices, one confident declaration stands out. "I want to be you someday." Aisha pauses, looks back, and offers a final nod. "And you will," she whispers, an unspoken promise echoing across generations, lifting every girl's dream into the boundless sky. If Captain Aisha's journey inspired you, Tap like and subscribe to join our growing community of dreamers and trailblazers. Share in the comments which sky-high goal you're reaching for, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that proves anything's possible when you fly with your heart.